Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right into a really radical blueprint designed to take dry traditional cybersecurity training and totally transform it into a massive Netflix-quality animated series. We're talking about swapping out those boring, sleep-inducing lectures for cinematic storytelling, high-end animation, and some serious technical depth.
So here is our roadmap for unpacking this ambitious 200-episode project pitch. We're going to cover redefining cyber education, the cyberpunk style, casting and storytelling, the Masterclass curriculum, the strict episode formula, and finally, ethics and boundaries.
All right, let's start with Section 1, Redefining Cybersecurity Education. There is a massive contrast at the very heart of this blueprint. On one hand, you have the traditional learning experience, right? Those dry PowerPoint lectures that can literally put students to sleep. But on the other hand, you have the creator's vision. We're talking highly engaging, practical demonstrations inside Kali Linux, but framed entirely as a gripping cinematic web series. The whole goal is to make learning feel exactly like binge-watching your favorite animated show, where suspense and humor replace the monotone classroom vibe.
And I really want to emphasize the massive scope of this project, a staggering 200 episodes. The source material specifies that each of these episodes should run about 15 to 25 minutes long. They're explicitly designed to connect seamlessly, just like a real TV series, so viewers are left eagerly waiting for the next drop. This isn't just a quick weekend tutorial. It's a full-blown, multi-season educational saga aimed at college students, working professionals, and anyone grinding for certifications like the CEH or OSCP.
Moving on to Section 2, the Cyberpunk animation style.
The visual identity demanded by this blueprint is wild. It dictates an animation style that's basically a mashup of Pixar, Spider-Verse, and Cyberpunk. Imagine 3D cinematic animation totally decked out with neon lights, a futuristic hacking lab, floating holograms, and HUD, or heads-up display effects. Even the code itself is fully animated with motion graphics. Every single scene is instructed to look and feel like a high-budget Netflix animated series, utilizing movie-level camera movements instead of just standard static screen captures. Next up, Section 3, Cast and Storytelling.
What really brings this cyberpunk world to life is its diverse cast. The star of the show is the hacker mentor. The source paints him as this funny, sarcastic, and absolutely brilliant guy who loves his coffee, actively breaks the fourth wall to talk directly to you, and uses clever jokes to break down incredibly difficult hacking concepts. And he's not alone. He's joined by a helpful assistant, sidekick, a rival villain hacker causing trouble, and an AI robot. The blueprint insists that every single character brings a unique voice and personality to make all that dense technical subject matter actually fun to watch.
Okay, let's dive into Section 4, the Masterclass curriculum.
Underneath all the flashy animation is a very serious learning path that tracks the student's journey from absolute scratch. Phase 1 kicks off with the bare basics. We're talking installing VirtualBox, learning Linux commands, and mastering networking fundamentals like the OSI model and subnetting. From there, it aggressively ramps up into web application security and the OWASP Top 10, then pushes into advanced territory like Windows and Linux privilege escalation and Active Directory. Finally, it culminates in Phase 4 with cloud security, digital forensics, live capstone projects, and even practical resume building. Along the way, students will practically master some real heavy-hitting tools: Nmap, Wireshark, Burp Suite, SQL Map, you name it. Take Metasploit, for example. Picture Episode 8 of this masterclass, which is titled Firing the Weapon, a Metasploit tutorial. Instead of just talking about the theory, the animated mentor shows you exactly how to use the Metasploit Framework. You are walked through configuring payloads, setting up your RHOSTS, and actually popping a root shell using the vsftpd 2.3.4 Backdoor on a legal Metasploitable target. It's serious, high-level execution, but visually represented in that incredible cyberpunk lab.
Which brings us to Section 5, the strict episode formula.
Behind the humor and the story, the document actually outlines a remarkably strict 23-point criteria for every single episode to ensure maximum educational value. We've condensed it down to the core flow here. Every episode has to start with a punchy 20-second hook, transition smoothly into a story intro, and then move immediately into a practical lab setup and a step-by-step hands-on demo. And the learning doesn't stop when the video ends. The narrative has to conclude with a cliffhanger, a homework challenge, quiz questions, and a mini project for the viewer to tackle.
The level of detail demanded for every release is just massive. The AI tasked with generating this series is instructed to output complete narration, specific character expressions, camera directions, visual effects, and background music suggestions. It even dictates the YouTube title, SEO descriptions, hashtags, and the exact end screen call to action. Nothing is left to chance. Now for perhaps the most important part, Section 6, Ethics and Legal Boundaries. This is the absolute golden rule of the entire series. The source material explicitly states, in all capital letters, that while this project must teach real, practical, ethical hacking, attacks must only ever be demonstrated inside legal virtual lab environments. The characters must never, ever target real websites. Everything revolves around ethics and legal authorization, ensuring that as viewers pick up these incredibly powerful skills, they know exactly how to use them safely and legally. So, instead of real-world targets, the source explicitly lists approved, safe virtual environments for practice. We're talking about platforms like DVWA, OWASP Juice Shop, and Metasploitable, which ties perfectly back into that Episode 8 Metasploit root shell tutorial we discussed earlier. These controlled, intentionally vulnerable sandboxes are literally the only places the animated mentor will ever launch an attack. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. We've seen how this blueprint meticulously fuses the engaging, character-driven storytelling of a high-budget animated series with a deeply technical 200-episode IT curriculum. Will this kind of entertainment, paired with rigorous, practical training, eventually replace the traditional, dry classroom lecture entirely? It definitely makes learning complex cybersecurity concepts look a whole lot more thrilling. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.